the biometric voter registration (BVR) kits could be stolen at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission of Ghana and unlocked with CCTV surveillance. We wish to emphasize that for the vigilance of a courageous whistleblower who alerted the NDC and the subsequent probing by our parliamentarians in Parliament, the shocking thefts of crucial biometric equipment at the EC's heavily surveilled headquarters would have remained shrouded in secrecy. This raises deeply troubling questions. Why did the Electoral Commission not disclose this significant breach of security? What prevented them from being upfront with the political parties, the Ghanaian public, and our development partners about such a critical issue? How can we trust an institution that will safeguard the sanctity of our electoral process when it conceals such vital information? Is this not indicative of a lack of goodwill, or perhaps something even more serious? Does the EC not owe the very stakeholders themselves, the citizens of Ghana, complete transparency and accountability? As the situation stands, there is a startling absence of verifiable evidence that this theft was even reported to the National Security or the police, as claimed by the Electoral Commission. No transparency and no respect for the stakeholders. One must ask, why the silence? Why the secrecy? If the integrity of our electoral processes is to be preserved, shouldn't the Electoral Commission be the first to champion openness and swift communication about any threats to this integrity? We demand answers and we demand accountability. The Electoral Commission must explain its inaction and its choice to withhold information critical to the trust and confidence in our electoral system. The stakes are too high for such negligence, or worse, deliberate obfuscation. Ladies and gentlemen, since the last meeting of the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, on Tuesday, April 9, 2024, and our subsequent engagement with the press, we have received new and additional information on the test of the components of the biometric voters registration (BVR) kits. We have also become aware that this new and additional information is not unknown to officials at the top echelons of the Electoral Commission. As a result, we remain convinced that the Electoral Commission and those with powers of prosecution were and have remained ill-prepared to pursue this theft case to its logical conclusion. This being the case, we wish to share with you the 35 questions posed to the Electoral Commission at the last IPAC meeting, with the hope that by working together, enough pressure will be exerted on the EC and its collaborators within the security agencies to speak the truth about this theft, which occurred under CCTV surveillance at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. We need the truth to aid investigation and prosecution, and to also prevent the recurrence as we head into the December 7, 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. We cannot have free, fair, and transparent elections when there are doubts about the sanctity of the data and equipment of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Before I list the questions, let me state without ambiguity that we demand a thorough, unbiased, independent investigation of this theft case, including an independent audit of the IT system of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, the 35 questions posed to the EC at the IPAC meeting are as follows. 1. Have the missing kits been found? 2. If so, when? You mean dates and time, and where were they found? How were the missing items discovered? 3. How many kits are missing and cannot be found or traced? 4. What are the serial numbers of the kits under discussion? 5. Does the EC have the purchasing invoices together with serial numbers at the time of purchase of the missing item. 6. Did the EC have an official recorded inventory of the missing items prior to the theft? 7. Is there a present inventory of such sensitive items to aid a comprehensive inquiry that can allay the fears of stakeholders? 8. When, date and time, using CCTV, did the EC become aware that the items were missing? Did the EC hold an immediate or an emergency formal meeting to discuss the missing items? 9. If yes, who attended that meeting? B. Are there minutes of that meeting? C. Was it resolved at the meeting to report to the police? Question 10. If it was reported to the police, what is the time lapse between the discovery of the theft and the report to the police? 11. Who in the EC made the report to the police? 12. Is there a formal extract of the report to the police? 13. What is the status of the report? 14. Is there a weekly, regular briefing on the status of the report? 15. Has the EC received any statement or reports from the persons with personal charge of the case regarding the loss of this case? Kindly provide these copies of the statement or report, if any. 16. Did the police arrest the culprit? Is or are the culprits on bail? Is it or are the culprits still in Ghana? These are vital questions that require immediate answers. 17. When was the last time these kids were deployed for purposes of voter registration? 18. Where were the kids kept before they were deployed? 19. Which registration stations used this missing kids? 20. Who specifically was or were in charge of the kids when they were last deployed for registration? 21. Did the missing kids contain any data of voters and EC app? 22. If yes, does the EC have backups for the data stored on the missing kids? 23. If yes, had the data already been transferred, either manually or electronically, to the National Voters Register for purposes of voting in the future? 24. What are the protocols for storing such devices at the EC headquarters? 25. Were these protocols followed for the missing items? 26. Who is personally responsible for the safekeeping of these items? 27. The individuals responsible for these items are the permanent or temporary EC staff. 28. The temporary staff, how long have they worked for the Electoral Commission? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the remaining 7 questions to make up 35 in all relate to missing biometric verification devices or BVDs and not biometric voter registration BVRs. And we wish to require that in reporting we distinguish between BVRs and BVDs for emphasis. BVRs and BVDs are not the same. And we wish to request this in order to help clear the minds of the public, because the failure to make this important distinction allows the EC to throw dust into the eyes of many unsuspecting followers of this case. Now, before we proceed further, let me clarify the differences between these pieces of opinion. Now, understanding these distinctions becomes crucial for comprehension of the issues of the time. Biometric voter registration (BVR) kits and biometric verification devices (BVDs) serve different roles in our electoral process, and their security directly impacts the integrity of our elections. BVR kits are primarily utilized for voter registration. This is when new voters are enrolled and existing registrations are updated. These kits are integral for capturing and securely storing individual biometric data, such as fingerprints and facial photos, along with other personal details in a central electoral database. This process typically occurs months or even years before an election and is crucial for ensuring that each voter has a unique record. Now, this not only prevents duplicate registration, there are also potential electoral fraud. Now, in stark contrast, BVDs are deployed on election day to verify the identities of voters at polling stations. These devices, more compact than BVR kits, typically include a fingerprint scanner and a screen to display the voter's details once their identity is confirmed. Now, this verification ensures that the person voting matches the previously registered information, maintaining the integrity of the electoral process. It confirms each voter's identity in real time, preventing identity fraud, and ensuring that each person votes only once. Understanding these key differences, the timing of their use, and their primary functions is essential. BVR kits are used during the voter registration phase to create accurate and credible voter records, while BVDs are employed on the day of voting, specifically for voter identification. This dual approach contributes effectively to different phases of the electoral process. BVR kits establish a credible voter database, and BVDs ensure the integrity of the actual voting process. Now, together, BVR kits and BVDs form a robust framework designed to protect our electoral process and uphold its credibility. However, when components of this critical infrastructure become compromised or stolen, as we are seeing, it poses a severe threat, not just to the logistics of the EC on election day, but to the very foundation of our democratic rights. That is why the theft of these kits from under the watchful eyes of the EC servers cannot be taken lightly and must be addressed with the utmost seriousness and urgency. Ladies and gentlemen, contrary to the EC's rebuttal that no biometric verification devices BVDs were missing, the EC has now admitted kits on our hands. But we also are dealing with missing biometric verification devices BVDs. This disclosure was made at the IPAC meeting on Tuesday, April 9, 2024, by the Electoral Commission when they briefed statements on the Commission's biometric devices. Regarding the missing and unretrieved biometric verification devices BVD, the NDC indicated at the IPAC meeting that many of the questions raised about the stolen component of the registration case apply to the device. Specifically, Ghanaians also needed answers to the following questions about the missing BVDs and the remaining 7 questions. Question 20. Have all unretrieved missing BVDs been returned to the EC headquarters? 30. What are the serial numbers of these BVDs? 31. Which polling stations were the BVDs deployed to? 32. What are the names of the persons who were in charge of the BVD when these BVDs were last deployed to polling stations? 33. What are the protocols for the deployment of BVD to polling stations? 34. Were these protocols adhered to in respect of the missing BVDs? 35. Who has personal responsibility for the safe custody and return of BVDs deployed to polling stations? In light of these bizarre circumstances, it is imperative that the Electoral Commission addresses these urgent and critical questions immediately. The inaction and lack of transparency we've observed are not only unacceptable, but deeply concerning. We, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, along with the citizens of Ghana, immediately demand prompt and comprehensive responses to the questions we are laid out. Now, let me address the matter of grave concern regarding the technical and security implications of the stolen or missing biometric equipment. Over time, some top officials and commissioners of the EC have made pronouncements that are not only weak and inadequate, but also indicative of a troubling lack of understanding of the complexities of electoral security implications by the very commissioners of the EC, who are supposed to be knowledgeable and to act very appropriately. And there are sections that the laptops contain no EC information, and therefore their theft poses no risk or impact apart from the financial loss was first made by Mrs. Samuel, Deputy Chairperson in charge of operations of the Electoral Commission. And this was repeated by Dr. Sri Bope, Director of Electoral Services, over the week on the Joy News Farm program, Political Program. And their claim is that the laptops are merely components of the BVR kits and can only interact or interfere with the EC's database system when they are activated with activation codes. Therefore, according to them, the stolen laptop will have no implications since no one will be able to activate it. First, this erroneous narrative provided by Dr. Sri Bokweku and Mr. Tete in the attempt to justify their inactions over the theft case by suggesting that the stolen laptop are inconsequential betrays a worrying level of complacency and reveals EC commissioners who lack a fundamental understanding of electoral integrity mechanisms and their security implications. Their assertions are not only weak and shallow, but also dangerously misleading and naive. The need for an activation code, while a critical layer of security, is not infallible. Therefore, the focus on activation codes as a sole line of defense illustrates a grave misunderstanding of cybersecurity principles. How secure are these activation codes? Who manages them? And what protocols are in place to prevent their unauthorized dissemination? In cybersecurity, human error or malfeasance is often the greatest risk. It is not uncommon for internal threats of human errors to lead to security breaches. Can the EC guarantee that these activation codes have never been and will never be compromised? Furthermore, the fact that these laptops have undergone the end-of-life process does not mitigate the risk they pose if acquired by malicious actors. Why? Because the physical laptops themselves, once part of the EC's infrastructure, can serve as a blueprint. They can be dissected for hardware vulnerabilities, used in reverse engineering to uncover software flaws, or employed in setting up parallel systems to undermine electoral processes. How can the EC overlook such a basic tenet of cyber security? Moreover, these devices, even stripped of direct electoral data, could potentially be used to create counterfeit systems or to train individuals in manipulating similar devices. In cybersecurity, access to physical devices provides critical insights into system operations, which can be exploited in numerous ways. Are we to believe that such risks are of no concern to the electoral commission? Let us consider the potential for these devices to be utilized in staging mock setups, to test hacking strategies, or to train personnel in circumventing security measures. The theft of such laptops must be seen as a direct threat to the integrity of and security of our electoral system. It begs the question, if basic physical security cannot be maintained, how can we trust the Electoral Commission to safeguard the sanctity of our electoral process? Now, the dire consequences of the stolen laptops. Ladies and gentlemen, the theft of the 5 BVR laptops from the Electoral Commission is not a trivial matter to be dismissed as a mere financial loss by the EC. The stolen laptops reveal profound vulnerabilities and pose dire consequences for the integrity of our electoral system, which we cannot afford to overlook or underestimate. The cavalier dismissal of this theft by the EC as merely a financial loss, is not only short-sighted, they also reflected of a perilous disregard for the broader implications of our electoral integrity. How can we stand by when critical and sensitive equipment entrusted to the EC in a 24/7 CCTV service to conduct free and fair elections is treated with such negligence? These pieces of equipment are essential and carry a national security risk, which is precisely why they are monitored continuously. How can such critical assets be compromised when they are under constant watch? These stolen laptops represent a significant breach in the security protocols of the Electoral Commission, which suggests possible vulnerabilities that will be exploited during the actual elections. We must ask ourselves and demand answers from the EC about the potential for these devices to be used in crafting nefarious means to manipulate voter data or to clone voter registration processes. Is this not a recipe for electoral disaster that will question the very legitimacy of our governance system? Moreover, this incident casts a long and ominous shadow over the credibility and trustworthiness of the Electoral Commission itself. How can the Ghanaian people trust that the elections of December 2024 will be free from manipulation when the basic security of such critical equipment cannot be guaranteed? Are we to simply trust without question in the face of these glaring lapses? Let us consider the implications of this text not as isolated incidents, but as indicators of potentially broader systemic vulnerabilities that will be exploited to alter electoral outcomes. Each laptop, each piece of equipment in the EC's inventory holds the potential to influence the electoral process significantly. The theft of such devices raises critical questions about the possibility of insider threats or external breaches, which could lead to unauthorized access to sensitive systems. In response to this breach, the assurances provided by the Electoral Commission's officials are not only inadequate, but also demonstrate a troubling lack of understanding of the complexities and necessities of robust electoral security. The assurances do not suffice in the face of potential electoral tampering or fraud. We cannot and must not accept this. We therefore demand with utmost urgency a full and transparent investigation into these thefts. Investigation to be conducted with oversight from credible, independent international bodies. We further call for a comprehensive review and overhaul of all security protocols within the EC to ensure that such breaches cannot occur in the future. The integrity of the Electoral Commission, and by extension the democratic integrity of government, must not be compromised. We stand before you today to declare that nothing less than a rigorous, transparent, and secure electoral process is acceptable. Our democracy, the will of the Ghanaian people, and the future stability of our nation depend on this. We remain vigilant and unyieldingly committed to safeguarding democracy in Ghana. Let us move forward with resolve and caution, ensuring that every measure is taken to secure our electoral process, one that reflects the true will of our people. This is not just about the security of laptops, but this is about the sanctity of our votes. Conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand on the brink of an electoral crisis, precipitated by the baffling theft of crucial biometric equipment under the ostensibly vigilant eyes of the Electoral Commission, the gravity of this situation cannot be overstated. The inaction and opacity displayed by the EC not only jeopardize the integrity of our upcoming elections, they also erode the very foundations of trust and democracy upon which our nation is established. The consequences of the EC's inaction are profound and far-reaching. Each day that passes without a clear resolution and accountability only deepens the public distrusts and casts long shadows over the fairness and transparency of our electoral process. The EC's failure to act swiftly and decisively in this critical moment could lead to an electoral process fraught with skepticism and questions of legitimacy, which Ghana can ill afford as such a pivotal juncture in our democratic journey. In response to this dire situation, the National Democratic Congress has laid out clear and non-negotiable demands to ensure the sanctity of our electoral system is preserved and restored. 1. An official written response to the 35 critical questions posed by the NDC at the IPAC meeting, addressing the status, recovery effort, and oversight regarding the stolen biometric. 2. We demand an immediate and comprehensive investigation into the theft of the BVR laptops and related biometric equipment, including a forensic audit of the voting register. This investigation, as we said, must be conducted by an independent body, supplemented with international observers to ensure neutrality and tolerance. The outcome must provide a detailed report that not only comprehensively identifies those actually responsible, but also outlines significant corrective measures to prevent such breaches in the future. 3. Furthermore, we call for a complete audit of the EC's inventory and security measures. This audit should encompass all BVR and DVD equipment and must be carried out by an independent auditor to verify the integrity of all electoral materials and processes. Let me be unequivocal. These are not merely requests. They are demands echoing the will of the people of Ghana for a transparent, fair, and secure electoral process. Indeed, the international community are firmly fixed on the actions of the Electoral Commission. How the EC responds to this crisis will not only determine the credibility of the forthcoming elections, but also define the future of our democracy. We stand ready to hold the Electoral Commission accountable, to challenge every inconsistency, and to confront any obfuscation. To the NDC, alongside the citizens of Ghana, would accept nothing less than full transparency, immediate action, and concrete solutions to this egregious breach of the electoral security of our country. The time for action is now. The future of Ghana's democracy is in the balance. We will settle for nothing less than stringent safeguards which ensure that every Ghanaian vote is counted and protected. Ladies and gentlemen, as we forge ahead, the NDC and Ghanaians will not be swayed by mere assurances based on nothing like the EC. We will continue to demand action, ensure enforced accountability, and ensure that our electoral system is not only secure but beyond reproach. Our resolve is firm, our commitment is unwavering, and our demands are clear. The Electoral Commission must act and must act now. This is a defining moment for our democracy, and the NDC is fully mobilized to ensure that the right thing is done. We are alert, we are prepared, and we are uncompromising. The EC must do the right thing, and they must do it now. Let this be a warning. The eyes of Ghana, the eyes of the world are watching. Thank you very much, and may God bless our day.
Thank you very much. The world are watching. On this note, you allow for a brief repeat. Okay, so we take 5 questions first, and then maybe from there we have a brief repeat, and we take the other 5. And so show by hand if you have any question, you may move to the right of the podium. Anyone with any question, please let's do this as quick as possible. or you are in full support of what GS said, then I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Maybe you fully support the position of the NDC, so you don't have any questions. Is that the case?
Yes.
Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Are we on the same page?
Yes.
You know, they said they fully endorse your conference. This is the first time we are having a unanimous house. Is that not the case?
Yes.
And so we are willing to fight this together. One voice, one strength. We will have a brief in P, maybe those who didn't follow fully in the Queen's language will get questions in the P session. And so let's invite a Director of Elections, Honorable Edward Kumah, to brief us in P. Thank you.
Asaba, the General Secretary, the Referee and two that the body offer and two more. Now, here, actually said, from the KCB up from our electoral commission, the headquarters for the side from the KCB, a course, Seneca, and yet go through the better set, whistleblower, a man, papa, the between NDC asotwe akasa ye kasa yi said NDC o CPP o PNC o GCPP o other political parties no Ghana phone now and media akasa ye kasa kan nim say from say akoso electoral commission headquarters. Na sɛ saa kɔni etimi kɔ so na sɛ electoral commission nankasa wɔntimi mpo amma IPAC amma abɛkasi o biribi sɛ na akɔ so enti no yɛgusu ɛhwehwɛ mu enti nke sɛ bi a ne mu bi emu biribi saa ɛwɔ baabi a yiyi apolisifoɔ asotwe sɛbi o obi phone kura mpo yira a sometimes wobɛte sɛ yɛyɛ announcement obi passport yira wobɛte sɛ yɛyɛ announcement nso electoral commission ɛnyɛ bɛyira yi ɔmo ayɛ dɛn atena so na ɔmo akyerɛ ne sɛ o ɔmo ɛrepɔte ɛma national security ebi a ɛnurɛ ebi nso a na ɛnyɛ nurɛ yɛnoa ne sɛn ɛna amdeɛ sɛ electoral commission ɛntumi ɛnni political parties asotire bra yɛhyia wɔ IPAC yɛnoa ne sɛn ɛna amdeɛ sɛ electoral commission ɛntumi ɛnbrifi parliament bra electoral commission ɛkɔɔ for various parliamentary business eti sɛ nka yɛ minority NDC minority a ɛwɔ mmarahyɛ ebifie led by honourable Atufossi ɛnisa saa question wei a ebisi nɛ ɛnìmu nea yɛka ɛde ɛsisi dani sɛ firi sɛ yɛkɔɔ IPAC ɛyɛ ɛbɛnada a etwa mu a yɛde yɛ questions maako aduasa enum 35 ɛtu da no yɛasan anya information bi kura mpo bi akɔ yɛhu nea ɛrekɔ so yɛhu afei deɛ prayer electoral commission ɛde pray ne ho ɛwɔ saa asɛm wei mu ne nyinaa no yɛhwɛ ɛnyɛma no a ɛreka yɛn nsa no ɛyɛ nika na at the appropriate time, that is the next stage of this struggle yɛde hwɛ sɛ abatoɔ no a yɛrekɔ akɔto ɛwɔ December no biribiara ɛbɛyɛ pɛpɛɛpɛ no ɛno nso yɛde bɛto da for now yɛ keep it close to our chest na yɛreka ne sɛ nneɛma mmienu in two different categories ɛna yɛreka ho asɛm yɛyɛ registration of voters a equipment ni bi a yɛdu si no ɛno ɛna ɛyera a wɔ EC headquarters ɛyera a yɛ no ɛyɛ EC headquarters o ɛnyɛ mene mu fie for a guardian 24/7. We human security fewer. Above video, camera, CCTV, 24 hours, and also Ejisu. Now, empty CCTV Ejisu. Nanka Electoral Commission only be there or the ACA year. And then one is in car, you be say, you can put the video here and to home, Naka Yin where you video at your map media houses, Naka Ubi transparency again. It's a transparent elections. Now, maybe transparency. It's a media 35%. No, possible. Mo kosum bisa electoral commission. Na mo bisa o say CCTV footage no e wo e different. Mo sabe to me aka CCTV footage na mo saka that would be the beginning of this process. Na esa say electoral commission no e pe only in seven MP no. You know what I say? You can see a electoral commission. The set obey to me at investigate a day way of Mankasa. And I say national security. Able to be investigating a day way. Ama Yakoma toy yem. Ama Ghana for Akoma top of yem set and back. Investigation now portion. A hotia. Not your a buyer, any car almost as a deal of bread, and yes, a river two W. Like I enjoy with you. Oh, my, yes, sir. They understand you go yet. If you're sick, I know with you. Who do you suppose? Did you say, now you don't say, oh, I don't say, will be that kind of bread. Now, say, well, you now I check and say, what does not happen? They want to say, the Yaira. No, you say, wait here, and Chrono Kasa. And what you say, you pay transparent, independent investigation. Such transparent, independent investigation, no. As I said, international community also any interested in the democracy of Ghana, in that investigation, the percent international observers no really pay attention to. If it's an election, no, observers, element of verdict, election and the process and the event. Process no be and a year come. Until observers now on in December about the cassette area a free and fair elections. No, they need to be here to also know about the fate of the equipment. Above Fidia, the day elections. And no